All right, everybody. As promised, we are back on Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. I'm Perrin Lovett, and welcome back to the Prepper Post News, courtesy of Freedom Prepper and Freedom Roasters Coffee. Welcome back to everybody on the YouTube channel at freedomprepper.com, the freedompreppercommunity.com, where you need to be every day, and everybody listening to the podcast. And podcast folks, no strange antics today, so the listening is the way to go. Let's get right into our headline subject: domestic terrorism, the scourge of America. And by domestic terrorist, we're of course talking about you. I've got a couple of related stories here I'm going to kick off with. I remember it was 18, almost 20 years ago, not long after 9/11, I found myself in Washington, D.C. It was a summer conference with some rather powerful people in the legal and political world, and they were just as happy as they could be about the new Patriot Act and this brand new Department of Homeland Security. And as a matter of fact, in November of 2001, I had attended a national conference just after 9/11, and we got to hear all about it from the authors of the act, the people who had written it long before 9/11. And of course, at that time, I was 100% on board with the idea: we've been attacked, we've got to fight back, we've got to defeat this enemy. Look what they did to us, they deserve what's coming. But there was always something strange about the overkill and the dispensing with common sense. I had the wherewithal during a breakout session. We were talking about hijacking airplanes, and how the military and the CIA were going to move in, and we just had to, everybody needed, take your belt off and get wanded, and it'll magically go away. We're going to fight them. We're going to start a war, fight them over there. And I said, wait a minute, this is America. We're Americans. How about instead of doing all that, we just, get rid of some of this gun control and let people carry guns on planes again. And if you have a terrorist try to take over the plane, you just end up with a dead terrorist. But, they shot my idea down. And then, then they came along with DHS, a new, the Bush, the Republicans, small government conservatives gave us another cabinet level government agency that is now it sounds Third Reichish, the fatherland security apparatus. And now the MSN news site has another story about how this is slowly pivoting around. We're still concerned about terrorists, but we're no longer, we're not going after Al Qaeda and ISIS and any of the other people that, detonated the controlled demolition explosives in Tower 7. Yeah. Now we're going after you, the homegrown extremist. And I guess that would be anybody who objects to the communist overthrow of the United States. And so this MSN story by Nick Miroff has a very good story. It starts out with all the horrible examples of how bad we are. We've got a man with an AK-47 at a Walmart, and we've just got very bad cherry-picked incidents, crimes from recent history that again are now, and they were then when they were committed, crimes. But we need to use terrorism, counterterrorism tactics and surveillance to stop them from ever happening again. We can't help these crimes, of course, but we can. This is getting science fiction like. We can go to the pre-crime level and profile people like you, anybody that the communists don't like, the globalist. If you vote Republican, if you're a Christian, if you're straight, if you're a white male, you're on the list. They're looking, and what they did to the mountains in Afghanistan, they could do to your house. Um, I feel vindicated because, I remember at the summer session, they had just locked up Jose Padilla, who in my book is at best a paperwork American, but he is still a U.S. citizen. And I said, do we really need to lock up American citizens indefinitely on, he's either an enemy combatant, let the military handle him wherever he's found, or he's one of us, let's try him through the courts. Got to have some kind of due process, some semblance of Anglo-American law. And they were like, no, don't worry, he's one of them terrorists, don't worry about him. This is about him. I said, well, I'm really not worried about him. Kind of worried about us, and I was struggling to think, of an example like, 18 years later when it would be us, but now it is. So let me know what you think about that. We've got, and Ron Paul, I remember Ron Paul, 2008, the Republican debate ahead of the main election. He rattled off that DHS needed to be eliminated. And everybody was aghast, like, how can you talk about getting rid of Department of Homeland Security in a war? And he pointed out that, hey, we managed to fight and win World War II without this. We got through the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. This is a problem, and turns out he was right too. Moving on, Organic Prepper, as usual, had I think this is a piece by Mr. Wheeler, another great article. This one is about DHS watching you. And, they've developed technology now, facial recognition that integrates thermal imaging. So you get the best of both worlds. You can wear your mask or 5 masks, and they can still tell who you are at all times, everywhere, for your own good, especially if you're a domestic terrorist, meaning anybody they say is a domestic terrorist. So they can come get you. Oh, by the way, a plug for one of our community members, a great novelist. Check out, The Hunt for Confederate Gold by Tom Moore. A great book early on in the history of the DHS that kind of put them in their proper place in a fun fictional setting. Another great book, novel, is Republic, and I can't remember who Republic is by, but it features the DHS, like a home video series, DHS Gone Wild in Charleston, West Virginia, with hilarious consequences for everybody. Just like we're about to start experiencing nationwide. Just like they're experiencing in the UK. In the UK, good old Boris, who's starting to look like more and more of a mistake by the minute, is getting all excited about the coronavirus passport. Not to travel to the continent or to the U.S., but to go down to the local pub or a restaurant or maybe a grocery store. It may be soon, if these people get their way, that in England, Mario will always have England, where you may not be able to eat unless you take the vaccine. And I've got some information about the vaccine. But back on the home front, Yahoo, of all places, Yahoo. You got to take these stories where you find them. They've got a story about potential FBI infiltration of right-wing groups. They're done with Al-Qaeda, they're done with ISIS, BLM and Antifa are ideologies. You can't infiltrate an ideology. But white supremacy and, plain old, Christianity, those are real. You can go to a church. Ask David Koresh and his followers. They can come to a church, and they will. Now, is there a glowy hiding behind every comment on every board and trying to get into every group? No. But there's a lot of fear brewing on the right, the alternative right, the hard right, about infiltration. And that might actually be something to, not that any of you are doing anything wrong, but of course we know that doing anything wrong has nothing to do with it now. This is identity politics driven. You are who you are, and they may be watching you. So take a close look. Here we go. Good old Joe Biden. We got to go get some Russian news about America to get accurate reporting. RT has got a story about good old our great president, Joseph R. Biden Jr. He's asking Congress to get those weapons of war off of our streets. Now, I'm sure he's not talking about genetically engineered bioweapons. He wants your rifles. He wants your handguns, your shotguns. Word has it that he's willing to consider letting you have the weapons that were around when he was a boy. Flintlocks, bow and arrow, but only limited capacity, low velocity, ineffective weapons. Let's see here. Where's a great quote? Today I am calling on Congress to enact common sense gun law reforms. Blah, 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 blah. Parkland shooting, this and that. Last year and the year before and the year before that, I put out some stats about the non-issue that gun violence is in America. It got worse last year because of, I guess, some crazy ideologies run wild. But internationally, we're one of the safest, still one of the safest countries in the world. So much so because we have 500 million guns floating around in private hands. Even the CDC, when they're not telling you to wear 12 masks, they quietly release studies that say, oh yeah, Gary Gillette was right. Actually, he undercounted. Guns end up saving 2.5 million lives in America every single year, usually without the gun being used or even presented. Just the fact that you have a gun and it gives you extra confidence. You can tell the would-be burglar to, burgle off. But that's bad. We've got to get those assault weapons out of the hands of the people that might need them to, repel some sort of, communist overthrow of our nation. Same song, different communist. And by communist, I mean you put in globalist, Satanist, Luciferian, whatever appropriate moniker you like. I'm not hung up on the words. Let's see. I got some daring, great headlines here. Here is the one about the bioweapon. We've got what is this? Great Game Media India. I saw a story about them from the usual suspects, so it's a good news source when the other side is complaining about them. Outdoing the dead legacy CIA media in the U.S. But congratulations! In addition to being a domestic terrorist, you're working overtime because you're also now a lab rat. You're expected to be subjected to medical experimentation normally reserved for rats and monkeys now, and this has nothing to do with regular medicine. This is something new. Check this article out. Everything's linked up at freedomprepper.com. There's this is the story that appears under the Freedom Roasters coffee ad. One of them. They're engaged in what appears to be a little genetic reprogramming. So it's not medicine per se so much as it is Dr. Frankenstein. So, and if you disagree with that, of course, DHS is coming. They're going to look through your mask, find you, and come get you, even if you move. And the New York Post reports again that more and more people are fleeing the high tax, high crime, high insanity metropolis, formerly known as New York City, the Big Apple, which is now rotten, and they're headed for Florida. They're all going to Palm Beach, and I thought this is this is not news because Palm Beach, the southeast coast of Florida, has turned into New York South. There's even a former president down there fighting with his homeowners association or something. But everybody's going to Palm Beach. They're bringing the businesses with them. So many people are leaving that the retail shops, the offices. New York City is going to turn into the biggest ghost town in the world. They're all going to relocate to Palm Beach, and they're going to bring their New York City ways with. I mean, you guys, 40 years ago, you saw the transformation, but keep an eye on the new arrivals. I'm sure most of them are great people. If they try to bring De Blasio and Cuomo down, that's when you know. if they want to build a subway and they've already got the rats to stock it, not you lab rats, but rats, just keep an eye on things. Big doings. We've got the oddly enough, the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals has decided to uphold the First Amendment. Part of it, at least. That's there's a war on the entire Constitution, so we'll take what little victories we can get. Here's somebody who does not like the Constitution. I mentioned her the other day. Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley. I've got an AJC article, an interview with her. She's decided which way she's going to go on her approach to being the GOP's miracle candidate for 2024. She's turned against Donald Trump, who gave her a job, promoting warfare and evil in the United Nations on our behalf. She says we need to acknowledge he let us down. He went down a path he shouldn't have. No specifics here, just platitudes trying to work that vote up, compete with Kamala Harris. We shouldn't have followed him. We shouldn't have listened to him. And we can't let that ever happen again. I got my appointment. I did my part for the evil empire. And now moving on to the next phase, which does not involve me going back to my homeland where I belong. I'm going to stay here and destroy your country, what's left of it. Don't follow him, follow me. We'll see how this shakes out. God knows what Jeb is going to run, middle pipe up, all the lowest trash that the GOP could possibly find. My money right now is on Nutty Nikki, the warmonger. So, good. Republican, good. They give you things like, the Department of Homeland Security and amnesty for illegal invaders and gun control, things like that, as opposed to the Democrats that give you, the same thing. No difference whatsoever. Here's a story for Bill. Here's a story for our friend Bill. I found something about education in Canada. This is from Crisis Magazine, an excellent write-up by Callum Anderson, a young man going to law school. Sure he will come to regret that. But he's noticed he's got 2 cases in Canada where Christians have basically been shown the door because they're Christians, identity politics. He's got the story of a Coptic Christian from Egypt who had the audacity to promote things like, children living. He's anti-abortion, of course, and that got him kicked out of medical school because, one, doctors don't want to actually practice medicine anymore. If you have children, they become adults. Those are people you got to take care of. Kill them all. And also, he made people uncomfortable by his faith in Jesus Christ. A couple more examples, too. Isn't it odd that, anybody can come to America or Canada for any reason whatsoever, unless they're a Christian. And then there's just no room. I guess our Coptic friend should come on down here and get in line to be attacked by the DHS. I know you guys have something similar in Canada. We're all in the same boat together. The whole West is under attack, and that's why we have these shows every day, just to let you know what's going on and sometimes provide a little humorous relief and sometimes some guidance, such as going over to freedompreppercommunity.com and signing up, because after they ban you everywhere else, you're not going to have anywhere to go except for the real alternatives like what we offer. Where we haven't had to do it yet, but we're in place to relentlessly police the bad people out so that we can have a free and open discussion. I might also recommend that you look at Social Galactic. It's a paid membership, operates a lot like Facebook or Twitter, except it's for us, for normal people. So, and don't forget to buy some coffee, and buy me a coffee cup thing at the make a donation. Keep Freedom Prepper running so we can keep you informed and we can all move forward, as we will do tomorrow on the Prepper Post News. Perrin Lovett signing off.